And we saw Cunningham come out in support of women's sports, and she's gotten some backlash, a lot of support for that as well. But it's really ignited this conversation about biological men potentially being able to play in the WNBA, and the commissioner actually laid out what the league is doing about it. So take a look from this memo. She writes, quote, "I know many of you have received questions in recent weeks regarding transgender athlete participation in women's basketball, and I expect this topic will continue to receive significant attention. We recognize that this is a complex and nuanced topic, and we will continue to have important conversations with all of you and the Players Association in the weeks and months ahead." So this comes after former
That statement just exposed something the mainstream sports media rarely wants to talk about. Sydney Colson tweeted, "I love trans fouls," and the internet immediately exploded. But the bigger issue may not be her words, it's what those words revealed about the league. Critics say the WNBA already has a serious identity problem, and this controversy is bringing that debate into the spotlight. What we're seeing now is a league facing a conversation it may not be prepared to handle, and this could become much bigger than one player's social media post.
Enes Kanter and Royce White over the weekend said that they're going to declare for the...
Now, Enes Kanter actually officially signed his contract to join the WNBA. If you guys did not see that, that just came out about an hour ago. Enes Kanter took to his X account to let the world know that he has officially signed his deal.
So let's get the facts straight. WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert reportedly sent an internal memo saying the issue of transgender athletes in women's basketball is real and will continue getting attention. She acknowledged that many people are asking questions about the policy, and the debate is clearly not going away. But here's where things get explosive. Former NBA player Enes Kanter didn't just talk about joining the WNBA, he claimed he signed a contract and announced that he plans to enter the 2027 WNBA draft. Now the big question is whether the league's current eligibility rules would allow something like this. If the rules change, it could become one of the biggest controversies in women's basketball.
Monica McNutt was on ESPN talking about the foul that DeJounte Carrington and all of them had, bro. And she was not happy about it. Want to know why? Because Monica McNutt is part of the tribe over there with the WNBA, and Stephanie White is clearly protecting her friends, not her team and her players doing her job. She's protecting her friends. Let's listen.
They rescinded it because for that action being minimal, like a brush, this is what should have happened and the right thing happened. What? Like, what is
all I'm saying is I have flashbacks to college where my teammate bumped into a coach like this and it was a problem.
Where you what?
Bumped into one of our coaches this way and it was a problem. But I think when we analyze it, if Caitlin didn't say anything, it is marginal.
Now watch this carefully, because this is where the debate gets uncomfortable. Royce White, another former NBA player, has also said he wants to enter the WNBA. The argument is simple. If former male professional athletes were ever allowed to compete in the women's league without meaningful eligibility restrictions, the physical differences could create a major competitive imbalance. Take Enes Kanter, for example. He played 11 NBA seasons, stands 6 feet 10 inches and around 250 pounds, and competed against some of the best basketball players in the world. Critics argue that putting an athlete with that size and professional experience into the WNBA could dramatically change the competition. The debate isn't just about one player, it raises bigger questions about fairness, eligibility, and the future of women's basketball.
Talking about it actually came in the first quarter when Chicago's DeJounte Carrington was ejected for a flagrant 2 on Sophie Cunningham. Now, after the game, Fever head coach Stephanie White said she agreed with the call, but acknowledged that Carrington's a physical player and that she didn't think it was intentional. And obviously this coming after Cunningham recently voiced support for limiting the eligibility of transgender women in female sports, and race continues to be a part of the context of conversation all around the league. You know, we talk a lot this season about the growth of the WNBA. I'm curious, Cheryl, how you expect players to continue to galvanize around the league, push it forward, stand in their conviction when they need to, and do both of those things in the 30th season of the WNBA.
You know, I want to see all those things, but I also, more importantly, want to see that same leadership during the collective bargaining agreement and how they rallied around the brand, the WNBA. And that's what I want to see. I want them to do the same things that they did during that time and stand up for their brand. This is our brand, and not watch a bunch of outsiders hijack the league. and our narrative.
Yeah, I mean, this is such a nuanced conversation, probably difficult to have in a halftime segment. But I do think that there are people trying to leverage our league for their own personal gain. And in my experience as a player, particularly in 2020, what I learned is you have tough conversations behind closed doors, you strategize, and that's how you figure out how to, for lack of a better, defend yourselves and defend what this league has built. That requires leadership and really on all levels, from the players, from the union, from the league, you name it, us who are covering the game. It requires that leadership. So that's what I think.
And this is where the media coverage gets really interesting. Monica McNutt was discussing the flagrant foul that led to DeJanie Carrington being ejected after hitting Sophie Cunningham. The league later rescinded the suspension, saying the contact was minimal. Monica defended that decision, while another ESPN commentator questioned whether a similar incident involving a college player and a coach would have been treated more seriously. The controversy became even bigger because Cunningham had previously spoken publicly about transgender athlete eligibility in women's sports. After the foul, some fans began questioning whether the league and media were treating certain players differently. But that's the bigger issue. When commentators repeatedly defend controversial league decisions without seriously addressing the criticism, viewers can start wondering whether they're providing journalism or simply protecting the league's image.
Yeah, I like that you brought up 2020 because it's not new for WNBA players to stand up for social issues, whether it be race, pay equity, sexuality. But the difference is it seems as though every flagrant foul, every incident, every ejection has now become an indictment on the league, and it's become a cause for some social issue. And it's hard to see these wonderful players turn into ammunition for a culture war that is existing.
Absolutely.
That's the hardest thing to see right now, Cheryl.
But that's America, and that's what we live with.
Now the national media conversation gets even more revealing. Cheryl Swoops is talking about the need for strong leadership during the collective bargaining negotiations and says players should protect their brand instead of letting outsiders take control of the conversation. The panel also argues that outside groups are using the WNBA to push their own agendas, and that every foul, ejection, or controversy is now being turned into a bigger social debate. But here's the real question. When people raise serious concerns about eligibility rules and competitive fairness, should those questions simply be dismissed as outsiders trying to hijack the league? The WNBA wants to be treated as a serious professional sports league, with respect, coverage, and fair business opportunities. But being a serious league also means being willing to openly address difficult policy questions instead of avoiding them. You can't demand respect as a professional league while refusing to have the hard conversations that come with it.
Y'all know Sydney Colson did what she did. I didn't even want to bother reporting on that part of the segment because everybody talked about it. So I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys know that Sydney Colson put out a tweet that stated that she loved trans fouls. But here's the thing, and I'm going to play a video from Dan Dockage kind of explaining what I'm about to tell you guys.
And that final exchange is fascinating. Cheryl Swoops basically admits that this is one of the hardest issues to deal with right now. But the tone of the conversation sounds less like a clear plan and more like uncertainty about what comes next. And this debate is not simply going to disappear. NS Cantor Freedom's claimed WNBA contract and reported plan to enter the draft have pushed the issue into the spotlight, forcing the league to respond. Now, the big question is what the WNBA will do next, and whether it's ready to face the controversy head-on.
For the 2027 WNBA draft in April. Join me in this journey.
NS Cantor Freedom decided he's going to throw his hat into the WNBA.
The WNBA does not ban men who identify as women right now from playing in the league.
He would dominate the WNBA without batting an eyelash.
The number one prospect in the history of the WNBA.
Well, it's official. I just declared for the 2027 WNBA draft in April. Join me in this journey.
NS Cantor Freedom decided he's going to throw his hat into the WNBA.
The WNBA does not ban men who identify as women right now from playing in the league.
He would dominate the WNBA without batting an eyelash.
The number one prospect in the history of the WNBA.
Let's go back to the beginning, because this part is important. The argument being made is that Sydney Colson's tweet exposed a deeper problem inside the WNBA. But some of the language used to describe that problem is highly controversial and should be treated as opinion, not fact. What we do know is that several WNBA players have publicly discussed diverse gender identities, including Lashia Clarendon, who has identified as transgender and non-binary. That means the league has visible LGBTQ+ representation, but having players with different gender identities is not a mental illness. That is a characterization, not an established fact. The real policy debate begins when questions about eligibility, inclusion, and competitive fairness come into the conversation. Those issues can be discussed seriously without attacking players or labeling their identities as a disorder.